Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Well, each Thursday, 1 to 2 p.m. in Los Angeles, you can be very, very appreciative because you're going to hear something from the Ask Brien radio show. We're a business show where each week we either interview a CEO or a founder, or sometimes we'll interview somebody that can teach us something about business. But, and our co-host is Tracy. Tracy, you there?
I am here. Hello.
Well, people always ask us why is your show called Ask Brien, AskBrien, when my name is Peter, which of course has two E's in it, and also why is it Brien spelled with an E? Because when I was in high school, my friends' names were Brien, B-R-I-A-N, or B-R-Y-A-N, but nobody spelled it B-R-I-N. The only ones who spelled Brien were the O'Briens down the street. And they were the Irish people down the street. And we said, hey, the Irish people down the street, the O'Briens. And where would they go? To the O'Brien pub. But otherwise, nobody else was spelling it with an E. So, Tracy. Matt is not here today. And you have graciously decided, however crazy that will be, for you to try to explain to people why Brien is spelled with an E. I know there are a number of reasons. We have your favorite. We'll go through that one. But before we get there, go over some of the reasons.
Well, I think the one that comes to my mind first is that everyone that we interview on the show, and including ourselves, is an expert. And I know you're going to ask me for the math. I'm going to try to do it. I don't know if I'll get it right. Matt's so much better at the math.
Well, remember, I gave him the math, and I wrote it out for him on a piece of toilet paper, so yeah. So don't worry about that. Our guest is like going, what did I get myself into?
Okay, so here's my take. Here's my take on the math. Since I have done this, I've been well more than 10,000 hours into my area of expertise. But, according to somebody says that it's 10,000 hours and you can be considered an expert, which means that you work an average of 40 hours a week for an average of 5 years. But you and I both know that you have to work a lot more than 40 hours a week if you're starting your own business and scaling your own business. But if you meet that minimum, then you meet the minimum criteria for expert. But the people that we have on our show have tens of thousands of hours allocated to their areas of expertise.
Well, that was 99% correct. So there are two things. One is, it is.
Is that still an A plus though? Because I'm a bit of an overachiever, so I just want to make sure I still at least got
I'll definitely give you an A. The A plus, that might be reserved for Matt, but very, very close. So what it is 40 hours per week, and it's 50 weeks per year because you normally get 2 weeks for vacation. That's the 2,000 times 5 is your 10,000. So that was one part, okay? The other part, you don't need to necessarily have 10,000 hours. For instance, there are certain people that have achieved such a high level of expertise in a certain field that they generally recognize as experts, whether or not they did that. And third, one of the E's, entrepreneurs. No entrepreneur works less than 40 hours a week. They may not even work less than 80 hours a week. So technically, most of the people on our show. But you were very, 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 very close.
Well, okay, so we don't really want to scare people off from being entrepreneurs, so let's just move away from the number of hours it takes to be successful and then talk about something that I really like, that I pretty much pride myself on. And that is I'm going to double team the E. This is an E squared. Excitement and
enthusiasm.
And you are exceptional, I might say, at expressing your enthusiasm, but not so much of expressing your empathy, which is another one of our E's. We like to show empathy. You do show empathy every now and then, but you show enthusiasm all the time.
Yes, but remember, my foot size is only a 9, so I can fit into a lot of people's shoes, so I definitely can empathize, because that's what empathy is all about.
Yeah, but ain't
nobody
want to walk in your shoes, so don't even worry about that.
Well, what I want to get, for my next birthday, I want everyone to chip in and buy me clown shoes, because those are really big shoes.
Well, I would not... I am going to give you the dignity of not responding to that. But let me use a new E. You've earned clown shoes.
Is E and earned? Is earned mean that a new E?
It's a new E in this case. Yes, that's for sure. You have earned your clown shoes, just like you have earned your stripes as an entrepreneur.
So what we do have to get going here, and our guest is like going, I got to make a phone call to Heather because of what's going on here. But anyway, we're going to go over a couple quickie ones so we can get in. So each week we try to educate, like Sesame Street, educate.
Yes,
that's our word for the
we
class
do.
today. We try to educate people, and that's what the show is all about, trying to educate.
Yes,
And then
that is very true.
And then Tracy's favorite one is Greased Lightning.
Because we are electrifying.
Woohoo! Yeah, we are electrifying.
Woohoo!
And
I love the woohoo, even though it doesn't start with an E, but I always like to work it in.
And then also part of expertise, which we've already kind of said, is experience. You have to have a number of failures sometimes in life to be successful. So you have to have experience. If you don't try it 10 times, you're probably not going to be an expert at it. So that's one of them. So I think that's most of the E's. And so we always say on this show, without any further ado, and we love the word ado, A-D-I-E-U-Y, because it only has one consonant.
Because it's all vowels and only one consonant.
And it's my favorite word. Okay.
And it's your favorite word.
All right.
Because of that? Is that why it's your favorite? I've never actually really dug in it deep. I mean, is that why? Because it has all vowels?
We don't have enough.
Just...
We don't have 3 hours of psychoanalysis to do, but... And by the way, my uncle wrote a book, 101 Ways How to Psychoanalyze Yourself. It actually is his book he wrote in 1952.
Oh, my God. Have you read it?
I did.
Okay. Well, without further ado, we'll put that on the back burner for when our guest doesn't show up. But
our guest is here. She's waiting. She's going, I'm the next phone call I have is the publicity for good. Anyway. Our guest is Lisa. Lisa, how are you?
Great. How are you? Seems to be doing really well.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have that. Usually I have a preamp, and I tell people about what's going on in the show to explain how it works and what's happening. So I didn't get you that opportunity because we didn't have a conversation. But
that's okay.
So surprise!
Here we are.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Gomer Pyle, one of my favorite. All right, so, Lisa. You currently, people don't know about you, so give a little bit about your background.
So I am the CEO and founder of the Millionaire Morning Mamas Academy. I teach women how to manifest money and create wealth in 3 years instead of 30.
Wow. So, first of all, before we get into what that business is, when did you start it and why?
So I started almost 3 years ago. February 3rd will be 3 years. I started it right at the beginning of the pandemic, and I started it because I got laid off, and I decided that I was just not going to go back and work for someone. I was going to trust my process, and I was going to do this no matter what it took to get it done.
And what were you working as at the time?
So I was supporting multimillionaires and multi-billionaires. So I did that for about 15 years in my career.
What does that mean, supporting billionaires and millionaires?
Well, front row seat to their lives, their families. And I was executive assistant and chief of staff. So I was not so much on the business end of what they were doing, although I was exposed to all that, but really in their personal lives, in their homes, with their children, their personal lives. So you can imagine.
and who were you hired by? Were you hired by an entity that put you into that position, or were you hired by the individual people?
The individual people, and it was word of mouth all the way through. So working for one, that spoke to someone else, and then I got the next job and the next job. So I never really was looking. I just kind of got referred.
Well, and that's an interesting concept. I mean, people usually know that, listen, if you're around successful people, you usually can become successful.
Absolutely.
Why? Because, I love the echo. Do we have to pay extra for the echo, or is that double time? I think it's double time for the echo. Thank you very much, Andrew. I appreciate that.
That's only happens when the boss is in charge.
He's the big kahuna. Andrew, say hello.
Hello.
He's on the microphone.
How are we doing?
All
How
right.
we doing?
We
got
have a
it.
very, very exquisite guest today because normally he's the GM of the entire radio station, and today he's chipping in. So we appreciate that. Thank
Oh,
you.
you got it. You got it.
All right. All right. So, Lisa, tell us a little bit about the name. First of all, the name of your business and how you came up with that name, and then start there.
So I came up with the name Millionaire Morning Moms Academy during meditation.
Okay.
And I didn't have anything when I started this. So I was not a millionaire. I didn't have a business. I didn't have a class. I didn't have money. But so then when I told it to my partner at the time, he just like, come on, you can't use that name. Like, no, it's not searchable. There's no SEO, like all this. And I said, we're using the name. And it has taken on a life of its own. So I trusted myself.
And what's the mama's part of it? What does that have to do?
So it's MAMAS, so not MOMMA, right? So
It's kind of like Brien, Brien.
Exactly, like Brian, like you said earlier. Exactly. A little twist on that. So I am Latina, and so we always call, ladies, girls, our girls, mama.
Mama.
And so it's not mother, it's just mama. So that's what that part means.
Well, do you have to be a mother, or can you just be a female?
And it's any woman.
Anyone.
Yeah, any woman.
And do you focus on females?
Oh yeah. Although I get tons of men asking me, please let me in the program, please. Tons.
Andrew's been asking all day.
Andrew, you're an exception. I'll take you. Okay, I will take
Appreciate that. Thank you.
you. You're an exception to my rule.
He's actually. I'm a little curious about his outfit because he's got a Dodger sweatshirt, but it looks like an LA Angels hat.
No, this is a special edition.
Dodgers hat?
Dodgers hat.
Oh, okay.
4th of July.
I thought maybe you couldn't figure out if you were an Angel fan or a Dodgers fan.
Oh, how dare you?
You got two women on the show, and you just have to. Not that women don't love sports, but come on, just bringing in the sports metaphors whenever you can.
Everybody loves sports.
I love sports.
See? Thank you.
I worked for the Falcons,
more than
so
The Falcons.
fantastic.
yeah, that's who I supported.
in Atlanta?
One of the billionaires.
The
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons.
Yes.
I know them.
Yes.
Well, Tracy spent some time in Savannah or nearby.
Oh.
In Georgia, the whole state of Georgia, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, Tracy.
Well, that's why
If you
Georgia
couldn't
has.
tell, my Southern accent's real. Peter's is fake. but
I hear
you
your
can tell
Southern
mine's real.
accent.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but this is not the right way to do it.
Oh, that's a good one. That was good.
Thank you. See? I can do
No,
anything.
don't exaggerate.
Don't feed the wild. So, you started 3 years ago. How long did it take you to do break even and to be okay? This is actually a real business that I know that I can make money on. Versus okay, this I gotta work and just pay my bills.
Yeah, so I think I knew after 1 year. I didn't have the revenue yet, but the structure and the momentum that I was seeing with the women, especially on social media, I knew that it was going to hit. And then I would say 2 years, we really took off.
And what do you do? What does the company do for people?
So one, we have a digital course. So it's a 12-week course that women can take. So they learn 6 weeks of manifestation. And then I have 11 health and wealth educators that have partnered with me that teach their stream of income. So that's one part of it. And then I do private wealth mentorship. So I have 3 ladies that I work with, around the U.S., and we're building their roadmap to creating $1 million in 3 years.
So the mentorship is more like one-on-one coaching.
Correct.
And the other parts are health and finance.
Health and
What
finance.
what about fitness?
It's in the health.
Okay.
Yeah. So and nutrition.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
you gotta do it all. You can't just pick one.
and that's what we do on our show. We talk about everything.
Yeah.
So how many people are working for your company now? 5, 6?
So we have 5 right
5
now.
people.
Yeah.
And where are you based?
Georgia.
Oh, you are based in Georgia. So you just came out to L.A. for
Came out to LA to do this and to do another event tomorrow.
wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Now, I don't want to get too personal here. You did say you had a partner, so you still have that same partner.
Ask me whatever you want.
All right, you still have that same partner.
So no, I do not.
He said, "Mama, millionaires, I'm out of here. Goodbye, adios."
Don't have that same partner. He was actually my nephew.
Oh, okay.
So he's moved on, but I do have another business partner who is my boyfriend. And so he's definitely in the business. And then two of my kids work for me, and my sister works for me. And then I have
How old are your
contractors.
kids? How old are your kids?
23, 24,
okay.
25, 28.
Because she looks like she's 25, so I'm thinking, how could she have a kid that old?
I'll take it. I'll take it. Couple years away from 50, I will take it.
So, well, that's not too many people realize what a trip it is to start with nothing and start a business, and all of a sudden in 2 to 3 years be having an income.
Yeah.
So that is quite an accomplishment. Now, what would you say was the most challenging thing you had towards your success?
When I started the business or before that?
Let's start with from the business for the business.
Biggest challenge. I think the biggest challenge, and continues to be probably the biggest challenge, if you can consider this a challenge, is knowing who to hire and when, right? So not getting ahead of yourself and hiring people too soon, but also knowing that you can't do everything and you have to delegate. You have to offload some tasks, which is a challenge for me.
You know, I think that's true in any business and any size, even Apple Computer, which is a huge corporation. Let's say one person is there for 10 people, right? Well, and let's say you have eight or nine people, right? You need to have somebody there so when you get the 12th person and that people can't handle anything beyond 10, that there's somebody there. But at the same token, you're like, do I want somebody that's there and, we only need 2 people out of 10, it's going to take a while to get there.
Yeah.
When that is a very, very crucial thing.
It is. And especially when you start from nothing like I did, my hands are on the pulse of every single aspect of the business, and then you get to a point where your hand can't be completely on the pulse of everything, and so you have to let it go, and that could be a little bit of a challenge.
And is organizationally, right? Mm-hmm. So who's there besides your partner's the number one next person? I don't want to do an hierarchy and get anyone in trouble here, but
no. So I'm CEO, he's COO and CFO, okay. And then I have lots of O's, a personal assistant, an admin assistant, a tech support person.
So you're doing all the coaching yourself?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the one-on-one coaching.
She says it so adamant. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who's gonna be able to teach them? But the digital course goes on its own. I don't ever have to touch that.
And so the digital course is basically like a webinar or something that you just recorded once and people just download it.
Right. So they go, if they come into the funnel, they go into the free masterclass, which is the webinar.
That's your lead magnet.
Oh my gosh, you're using the language. Yes, that is the lead magnet. Then we funnel them into the course. And those are all pre-recorded, so they're all digital. They have a student portal, and they can just go through all of those. They have questions, they can write to me, and I respond to those things. And then we have a monthly live Q&A call with all of the students. So then they ask me their burning questions, and I answer them.
And so give me one burning question, besides why am I on the show?
Wow. I would say the one that I get a lot is very personal. So they're asking, how do I stay positive in a high vibrational frequency and manifest money when my partner is not into it at all? And, can I change that? And can I still be successful at manifestation when someone's energy or vibration is like low? And so that's a question I get a lot.
Well, that's why in Ask Brien we have the enthusiasm and excitement
the ease.
And electrifying.
Yes.
Because we feel that's part of the whole thing in order to be successful.
100%.
That's why we do the Rocky theme. We want to get people going. Right?
Yeah, I love that.
And so I think motivation is very important. But you're always people motivated by many different things. People always say, "Oh, it's the money." Very, very rarely do I know people that's their goal and they're successful solely on that. Usually, it's the other things. It's the passion. It's the energy. It's all those other things that go into it. And money comes, but it's not. If you just focus on that's a hard extrinsic reward to have.
Mm-hmm. It's the freedom for me.
Oh, I thought he was telling me I'm number one.
We'll go with it. You're number one.
I certainly appreciate it. I think he was saying we have about a minute left, but
okay.
Now it's probably 45 seconds because we kind of messed it up. So what do you think is going to happen in the next 12 months to your business?
Wow, great question. So I believe that my business will hit $1 million in revenue in 2023. We did about half a million in 2022. And so we're getting there. And then, of course, I'm building my personal brand. So I believe that's going to spread in lots of speaking engagements. And I'm launching a luxury bag collection. So we're busy. I'm busy.
Well, the company's busy.
I'm the one who's busy. I can tell you. The company's not busy. I'm busy.
Well, we're going to take a break. You listen to KHTS 1220 and 1220 and 98.1 FM. This is the Ask Brien Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM, the Ask Brien Radio Show with our special guest, Lisa. So, Lisa, Tracy had a couple questions, and she's going to kind of continue on what we're going through, and we're going to keep going on this interview. So, Tracy, you're on.
Yes,
Bring it.
Bring it. So congratulations on scaling your business in such a short period of time.
Thank
and
you.
setting your sights on being $1 million business owner in 2023. I don't know if you are aware of the stats of that, but less than 5% of entrepreneurs make that seven-figure mark, and of that 5%, only 2% of those are women-owned businesses. So when you hit that milestone, that is a big woohoo.
Yes, woohoo!
Woohoo!
I don't know if you knew that or not, but when I found that out myself personally, I was shocked at the how low that percentage was, especially for women-owned businesses. So from one woman-owned business to another, we got to change that percentages.
Yes, it needs to become the new normal.
It does, and you're well on your way. So you have your revenue streams, as I understand it, are private coaching, your digital course online, and then you mentioned that you're expanding some additional revenue streams in 2023. Let's get in a little bit more detail about what those look like for your business.
Okay, so yes, we have the digital course. I have wealth mentorship, and I'm launching a luxury bag collection. Let's see. And of course, I invest, right? That's a huge part of my program, and my mentorship is investing. And I do a lot of real estate investing and things like that. So lots of streams coming in. That's the goal.
Definitely. So let's talk about, so you're taking a product to market, which is a completely different business development strategy than an online focused business. What was the idea behind the luxury bag line, and where are you in that process?
So, no kidding, first of all. I have never done this before. I have absolutely no idea how it works. But, that's how I started this business. I had no idea how this was going to work. None. I didn't have any special, ways to make this take off. It just happened. And I just kind of trusted the process. And it's the same with the luxury bag collection. I always knew I wanted to have products and do some e-commerce. I just didn't know which direction it was going to go in. But then my best friend created a bag 3 years ago before the pandemic hit. Once the pandemic hit, she just everything tanked. And I wasn't even involved in this whole thing. And then just a couple of months ago, we were together and I was like, why don't I take the bag? Why don't I buy the bag from you? And she's like, what? And so that's how that happened. And interestingly enough, the name of the bag company is Emerald and Sage, and my last name is Easton, and my boyfriend's last name is Schlesinger. And we had nothing to do with any of that with each other in the time. So ENS, Emerald and Sage, that's how that has come to be.
I like the E.
I knew you would love the E. I should have had 3 E's for you.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
I should have 3.
So when I'm assuming, and this is with taking a product to market, you're dealing with some literal hard costs in terms of you have manufacturing, you have inventory. Like, how do you feel like you will manage the challenges and rise to the challenges of products and inventory and manufacturing versus creating digital products and doing service-based businesses?
Yeah, so the good news is launching MMM, Millionaire Morning Mamas Academy, has afforded me the ability to have income from that to launch the luxury bag collection. So, doing all of them at one time, launching it at one time probably would not be the best idea. So I just always grow one to the point where that one can fund the next, and then it can fund the next, and that's how I'll manage that.
Okay, great. So how are you going to have a whole separate LLC for this? Like, are you having it as a separate entity? I understand that one's going to be funding the other, but in terms of how you have your business entity set up, I think people would be interested to know, because you have your investment portfolios, you have your online business, and then you have this new Emerald and Sage business. Are they all separate LLCs, or do the funds commingle? How does that work?
So they're all separate LLCs. That's my choice and my advice from my accountant as well as my attorney. So I have lots of LLCs and probably will continue to create quite a few, especially with real estate and properties. Each property will have a different LLC. But, everybody decides to do it differently. But for me, that just keeps everything clean financially and everything separate and very easy at tax time. Right? So everything's
Oh,
not
yes.
in one and we
Yes,
got to go dig.
definitely.
Oh, yeah. Super easy at tax time.
So, in terms of like you're really speaking the language of how important it is to have the right tools and resources and advisors. So you mentioned that you have, a CPA, accountant. Also, you have other advisors and mentors, I'm assuming. How do you recommend people, when they're starting a business, really get mentorship and the right people on the right team to help advise them?
Yeah, so I have wealth mentors. So I have three. Two are multimillionaires and one is a billionaire. And so I stay in close communication with them and listen to pretty much everything they say and take their advice and their counsel. So one thing that I feel that I'm, pretty good at is just not trying to reinvent the wheel. If someone has shown me a path that's working, I just follow that path, right? I'm not trying to recreate anything and be the genius here. I'm just following what works. And so I follow them. And I also have a marketing team and an advertising team. And, we have a big team, but the people that are close in are just about five of us, but obviously lots of contractors. But to really answer the question, I think it's just so important to have mentorship from people who have what you want. And I truly manifested them. I did. I used to meditate and see myself sitting and talking to people who are millionaires and billionaires and having them give me advice and tell me what to do and give me opportunities. And that's exactly what's happened.
What do you think is one of the pieces of advice that they gave you that surprised you the most?
Oh, yeah, this one is a big surprise. Stop watching the news. Stop paying attention to the economy until you absolutely have to. Otherwise, tunnel vision, focus on what you're doing. When it affects you, we'll talk about it. If it doesn't, don't even focus on that. And that's from all three of them.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
That has been my philosophy. Even I used to be the market manager for 12 radio stations, actually, in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And I was in the heart of the media business, and I still refuse to participate in the drudgery of the day-to-day newscast.
Yeah.
And, because it is can be such a distraction and a deterrent. And if you're not properly motivated, I feel like you can use it as an excuse as to why you're not doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And taking on that fear and that worry of things that we cannot control. So my goal is to focus on things I can control and be present and be in the moment. What comes down the line is not my responsibility. If I need to worry about it and it presents itself that way, I will. Otherwise, I'm not paying attention to any of it.
Well, we are coming up on our break from our sponsor. So in just a quick 30 seconds, what was the best piece of advice? Or less. Or you know what? Let's save it. Let's wait until I'm going to ask you what your best piece of advice that you got from your financial mentors, but we will answer
She's going to hold that answer.
Okay.
We want anticipation for the audience.
Holding it.
Do you have a dun 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 dun?
Da-da-da.
No song? Do you have those on? Don't you have any of those
That's called a
things?
teaser.
Come
That's
on.
a teaser clip.
My whole career is a teaser. All right, so is Stephanie there?
Yep, she is. I am.
All right. So Stephanie, da 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 da. That's news. We're in trouble now. All right, so please tell us and the audience and Lisa What is Albany Farms? What do they do? And what's going on with Albany Farms? What is that?
Well, Brian, Lisa, audience, Albany Farms is a food manufacturer, and right now our focus is on instant ramen noodles that you find typically in a cup or a pillow. And our brand is Twisted Noodles, and you can find us in various locations across the United States, such as Target, a lot of local retailers in South Dakota, Loiters, MJ's, support us as well. And you can also find us in Canada in their Walmart. So we're very happy and excited to have those partnerships. And yeah, that's what Albany Farms is all about.
So what do you mean a pillow? Is that like when I go to sleep? What are you talking
Oh,
about,
I
pillow?
wish. I'm very tired. No, pillows are kind of like, they're usually described as like a cake or a brick. And those are in the wrapper films, and that product needs to be boiled on the stove. So it's a little bit different from the cup where that product is microwavable. So those are the differences between the two.
And then lastly, the other company you represent, Legal Steps, and spelled with a Z. Probably the person doesn't know how to spell, but what is Legal Steps and why is it spelled with a Z?
Yeah, great question. So Legal Steps is actually a great resource. It's one of my go-tos, and it's basically a do-it-yourself system to handle any types of legal issues that you might be experiencing, from forming a business in California, for instance, or even registering a federal trademark. And ultimately, it saves you tons and thousands of dollars and empowers you as an entrepreneur, which is a great feeling. It basically makes legal easy.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you very much, Steph. We'll be speaking to you next week. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
And now Lisa's on the spot. Da-da-da-da-da. Do you remember the question?
Yeah, I remember the question.
All right,
Is
go.
it time? Okay. So I'm sitting here thinking I can't think of just one, I can't just say one thing, but I'm going to try to do like two or three that my wealth mentorships have taught me that has been the best advice. So one is invest in yourself. Make sure that you are always constantly taking in more education to grow and reach your goals. So that's one. Two is embody what you want. So you want to reach $1 million, you want to have whatever, you want your business to do whatever it is, you need to actually walk like you already have it. So that's two. And the last one I would say is just laser focus. Like there's opportunities and there's distractions. And so nix the distractions and focus on the opportunities.
Well, that's good advice.
I want your mentors. I just decided. So I'm going to meditate about connecting with you.
Yes, come on, Tracy. Me and you against the world, girl. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so you mentioned before the break that you have a marketing team, and that's one of the things that I've been very interested to ask you about since the start of the show, because it seems like, especially since the pandemic, that so many people have launched online courses, digital programs, online coaching, even online therapy businesses. So I would love for you to share some insights on how you have successfully marketed your digital course and some of the challenges maybe that you face doing that.
Yeah, so my journey, I don't think is unique, but I leveraged social media. And so free marketing, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all of the social media platforms. It's really important. And, people don't love this, but it's the truth. You have to be omnipresent. You have to be showing up everywhere consistently, right? And that's how my business really took on a lot of momentum. I built a tribe of women that follow me everywhere and will do and buy whatever I sell for the most part, but it took time, right, to get there. It took time, visibility and a lot of content and really building relationships so that they know me, they like me, they trust me. And then after I established that and we have momentum and it makes sense financially, then I brought on a marketing team. And now that marketing team has kind of transitioned into my PR team. And so that was kind of the roadmap for me.
What do you think in terms of when you were a one-woman show doing that for yourself, what were some of the challenges that you faced doing that consistently?
Motivation, feeling like doing it all the time. I mean, that's just not the reality. You are not going to feel motivated all the time. You are not going to want to be creating content all the time. You're just not. Like you can't grow a successful business on feelings, right? You just have to continue to create some movement every single day. So I would say the biggest challenge is coming up with new content ideas. Can I say something new? The good news is that you don't have to say something new. You just have to say it different each time, right? So you're kind of saying the same thing, but you're putting a spin on it and doing it differently. So I would say that's probably everyone's biggest challenge is actually putting out enough content to keep this momentum growing and then growing a tribe of hundreds of thousands of people, which is, where I am now.
Did you do any paid marketing, like in any of the on any of the social media platforms, or any paid digital advertising with Google Ads or anything like that?
So the $500,000 in 2022 was 100% organic, no advertising, no nothing, just me showing up every single day and telling them to buy my course because it's going to change your life.
That's so great. And kudos to you for staying consistent and doing that, because I think a lot of people, quote unquote, give up before the miracle happens.
Oh, for sure.
and,
for sure.
And that is always so unfortunate because they've already put so much time and energy into it. They may not see the traction that they thought they were going to get. I think setting expectations, and that's something I'd love to ask you about as well, is like really setting, like having goals and being ambitious is one thing, but also setting realistic expectations. How did you feel about that, especially when you were very first starting your business? Because I know you clearly rely a lot on meditation, spirituality, which is wonderful, and manifestation. But then how does that piece of reasonable expectations come into play?
She's going to hold off on her answer because it's our break time. So we'll take a break. Listen to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Welcome back. You're listening to KHS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Before we took a break, we had a question regarding realistic expectations, and the realistic expectation was, were we taking a break? But anyway, let's go. Tracy.
Yes, well, actually,
On the spot.
Let's talk through some of that. I mean, because I think it's important for people to be aspirational but also be realistic. So share us your perspective on that.
So I actually disagree a little bit, and here's why.
Great.
I think
conflict.
I think I love a little conflict.
That's become the Rockies theme. We were boxing, so like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So I think that people who reach high levels of wealth and success are not living in realistic expectations for the most part. I think you got to be a little delusional to do what we do and to do it as hard as we do and consistently. And so if I was just setting realistic expectations all the time, I don't feel like I would be reaching these high levels of wealth and success as quickly, right? Because I always have these realistic expectations that to me are excusing me from reaching the next level and doing what it takes to get there. So I don't feel that I live in realistic expectations. I'm setting insane goals for myself all the time. And that's the space that I live in my head, my heart, my soul. So that it's not realistic at all, but it's going to happen. It is the reality.
But it is already happening for you. So I think that's a great testimony to really, again, being aspirational, setting those big goals, and just not paying attention to what the media says about recessions or the economy or things like that, because what you're living in your reality is very successful and always moving forward. So that's amazing. I think that our listeners are going to absolutely want to continue this conversation with you in some way.
I would love that.
And I love that you're so visible on all the social media platforms. But what is the best way for people to get in touch with you if they would like to find out more about your program, participate in your program, or just ask you a question as a mentor?
Yeah, so let me give you a few things. So Instagram is my jam, right? That is my number one primary platform, although I have more followers on TikTok than I do on Instagram, but that's an algorithm thing. So Instagram is is at Lisa M. Easton, and I mean, I give loads and loads of free content there. The link to my masterclass is also there. TikTok is Lisa M. Easton and the number 1, and I give loads of content there. And then if someone wants to just email me directly, they can email info@lisameaston.com.
And then just for everybody who is listening, could you spell your last name just to make sure everybody gets it right?
Sure, Easton. And let me please clarify. Instagram, at Lisa M. Easton. Nothing else. LISAME,
Okay.
because there are tons of fake accounts of me, lots of them. And so
Oh,
I
that's
want everyone to
crazy.
know, if they're not sure that it's me, send me a DM, because there are lots of them. Okay, so Lisa M. Easton. That's it. No underscores, no dots, no capitals, nothing.
Well, that's the key to a good social media URL, too.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so speaking of no hyphens, no URLs that aren't anything but just Ask Brien the podcast. Yes, if you have been feverishly taking notes but didn't get everything written down that you wanted from this show today, or you've been driving in that amazing LA traffic and can't write anything down, don't forget that you can catch everything on the podcast, and you can download the podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. So that's Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeart, you name it, we're there. But just make sure, speaking of spelling, make sure you search for the Ask Brien podcast. That's AskBrien, Ask Brien podcast. All right.
Thank you, Tracy. So, Lisa, one of the questions one of our listeners was asking is, what's a typical life cycle to get somebody to? They come onto your site, they might download something, they might take a course. What's a typical life cycle before they get into your masterclass?
Oh, okay. So I'm thinking you're asking what's the typical life cycle before they get to work with me one-on-one?
Yeah.
Okay. So they go to the free masterclass, they join the MMM Academy, they take the 12-week digital course, then they will have the option, we always present by email sequences, the option to work one-on-one with me. They have to apply, I have to approve them, I have to like them a lot.
Well, that's why I'll never be there. So give me the...
Well, you're a man, so that's not going to work. But my friend over here, he's an exception.
What's the criteria for approval?
Oh, we make fast decisions. You can't be a baby. You can't be texting me all the time asking me, when am I going to get my profit from this real estate investment? None of those things. You got to be strong. Mindset has to be there, and we just go.
So we only have about 45 seconds left. So what is if you had to choose one business model, is it real estate, or what area would you think is the best place to be right now?
So, yeah, from an investment standpoint, definitely investing in real estate.
Over stocks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, you can invest in stocks, obviously, and now is a great time to get in, but you have to be careful. You really do have to know what you're doing or have somebody who knows what they're doing. But real estate is my favorite, though.
And so, other than real estate and stocks, and you have 15 seconds, what's number 3? If stocks was
my
cheap.
own business, your own business, starting a business.
Oh, and starting a business can take quite a while before you hit break even or you start to make it, right?
I just don't believe it. Since I did it in 3 years, I believe it's possible.
Well, that's a great story.
We love a little conflict, like I said.
Well, that's why we have the Rocky theme. That's why we're all about sports, Andrea and I. All right, thank you very much. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM with Lisa Easton today. Thank you, Lisa. Tracy, thank you.
Thank you.
And until next Thursday, Roger, over and out.